Mr. Freeze, probably one of the most fun boss fights in the Arkham Batman games. Just like how you saw in the video games, this idea came from the comics of Mr. Freeze trying to save his wife is one of the sole reasons on why he does certain stuff. Here's the thing about Mr. Freeze, Victor Freeze, his real name, his sweetie Nora had threatening cancer. He utilized his own untested cryogenics research to suspend her body in ice while he sought a cure. Similar to the game, his wife is frozen a lot. Then, of course, tragedy has to strike. He got bathed in supercoolants and it altered his body chemistry, requiring the most chilling climate to survive. The armored Mr. Freeze murdered Goth Corp's executives with formidable cold gun of his own design because of that stray bullet that caused all this in the first place. Up here, people were shooting. Like there was a standoff in his laboratory and stray bullet caused the supercoolants to mess up his body's chemistry and stuff. But sadly, unlike the video games, in the comics, Mr. Freeze mistakenly fired upon Nora's cryo chamber, shattering her body completely. That's when he started hating Batman and blaming the Dark Knight for Nora's fate. And he doesn't mind making the whole of Gotham suffer because of this. But she kind of got resurrected via Lazarus Pit and she kind of had to get refrozen. Yeah, life sucks. Yeah, it seemed like it's Nora's destiny to be frozen in ice. See, it was complicated. See, they reassembled her, put her in a Lazarus Pit because her body was once broken. It was reassembled here and they threw it in a Lazarus Pit. And it didn't have the effects they wanted to, even though she technically was alive, but she wasn't the same. Yeah, Nora's just destined to keep getting frozen. Yo, Mr. Freeze, this is just messed up, freezing a guy like this. Like, Mr. Freeze, why would you do something like this? You can see his stats without his suit, but Mr. Freeze is kind of known for his battle suit. It requires renewed supply of high-quality diamonds to fuel his armor and keep his body super cool. Just like most characters in comics, he does improve, or one could say his gear improves as time goes by. I mean, technology does improve, so of course his would improve as time goes by too. Like, you can literally see his suit gradually start changing. Some of these could be different artists interpreting the same suit through their own artistic ways, but a lot of this could be that, but all of this could be also him improving the suit design as time goes by. I mean, that's usually what smart people usually do when they are tech experts or something. Lose, take L's, get rid of the weakness your current suit has to have a better chance against your enemies. That standard stuff. Evolution and progression. I don't really know why the handbook said he got his technology enhanced when it wasn't really a technology that got enhanced. It was just Mr. Freeze himself getting abilities to where he basically becomes like literal Iceman, like in his run. This will be considered, I would say, the standard temporary power, something a lot of characters get. They get the power up, they get stronger than they usually would be and then lose it. Like, I'm gonna get back to this, but yeah, this is technically a temporary power when he just became a full-blown ice manipulator. When it comes to his cold gun, you're gonna see me bring up a lot in this video. His freeze gun is capable of creating structures of ice or simply freezing a body solid by supercooling the air molecules surrounding it. Like, you will see parts of his career where the suit looks bulky, but then you'll see other times where the suit gets improved and it's impervious to certain things. It's like even lighter, but it's mightier. You see what I mean? Like, so there is improvements for Mr. Freeze as time goes by. There's even times where Batman even notices on how his freeze gun has more power than before. Yeah, look how durable that armor is. Yeah. I mean, by some miracle, if his suit isn't giving him enough protection, he can always just give himself ice walls so the bullets can't penetrate him. Either way, like for defense, yeah, he can protect himself with his own ice, like this ice dome that can shield against all this heat. So yeah, he has plenty of ways of protecting himself. He even uses freeze grenades, not just a gun. Freeze gas. I mean, if you couldn't tell by now, Mr. Freeze is really intelligent. I mean, you probably knew that, but yeah, I just had to say it. I mean, his tech was even far beyond traditional science to the point we're talking about Luthor level, maybe Apocalypse level. This kind of respect is coming from somebody like Mr. Terrific, who's somebody that's also one of the smartest people in DC history. That's saying a lot about Mr. Freeze. When Batman was going after Mr. Freeze in the Gotham Zoo, Mr. Freeze welcomed him with his pets. You see the leashes around their neck? Yeah, kind of controlling these pets to fight for him. Yeah, he got some stuff that can defreeze you. Even though ice is his main theme, he's called Mr. Freeze. We have seen him use flamethrowers and ice guns at the same time before, which is kind of crazy to think about. Like, he's really smart, but he's abandoned everything for the most part, except for perfecting, improving his temperature, maintaining efficiency of his cryo suit, and improving the deadly effectiveness of his freeze gun. That's the main thing he's obsessed with improving. I mean, Mr. Freeze can literally operate on himself to remove the device that Black Mask implanted in his head. Yes. I mean, it's talked about how this man is a genius centuries ahead of his time. Is that a human heart separated from the body? Like, wait, what? His suit sensors can detect movement. Let's not give him no prep time because he can make like his own icy storm around Gotham and crap. Like, he's good at figuring stuff out, like kind of improvisation. He figured out how to use the Firestorm Matrix to use a jetpack to make it fly to the sun pretty fast. Straight intellect, right? I know it's easy to believe that his suit does all the work, but believe it or not, a man is in this suit and he technically got skills to the point where, like, you could say he technically got accuracy, like aiming, directly hitting people from a decent distance away with his ice gun and stuff. You could say marksmanship, hitting the ropes that these Batman characters be grappling on and stuff. But let's really analyze everything about him. A big part of why he's strong is his gear. So that's part of the reason why I'm saying Mr. Freeze is strong, partly because of his gear. Even the part over his head is bulletproof. Like, you see the thing covering his head up. Large guns or turrets hit him in the face. His suit can withstand all this. There's plenty of comic proof of all of this. This is also an example of, like how I mentioned earlier about how his armor and stuff gear improves as time goes by, because this wasn't always the case when it comes to the armor just being completely bulletproof. There was a time when you could actually threaten him with bullets and stuff, kinda. Shooting bows and arrows at him is a waste of time. Like, you see Batarang struggle to pierce his helmet on multiple different occasions. Like, you can literally throw acid on his suit and he just shakes it off. Under rare weather conditions where he doesn't need his suit, you can kind of see what he can do without his suit. Trained fighters like Commissioner Gordon, he can give hands to with straight muscle. But of course, his strength gets scarier when you add in the suit. We actually see him fight a Robin off screen, and this is the end results of the fight. With the suit, you could argue he's super soldier-esque or higher, slightly higher, because Batman, he's constantly fighting Batman, of course. That suit, the bulky nature of this suit implies it gives him more strength than normal. Not to mention Batman's having issues breaking out. We know the crazy stuff Batman's done. I mean, with his mech suit on, we've literally seen him and Batman working together push through all of this brick. You can argue him using different advanced suits over the years. That's why he's able to accomplish different levels of feats. You know, you can put that in consideration. Breaking through all these metal doors. It's no wonder he has the kind of strength to lift beings up with one arm. And in this particular situation, it doesn't seem like he was like super fully mech'd up. I mean, sure, he got the junk over his head to keep him in sub-zero temperatures, but like, was this suit in particular amping his strength? You see what I mean? It's no wonder he's always punching Batman consistently throughout comics and hurting him. I mean, he even threw Batman so hard, he even broke some ice. He threw him so hard. Like, you see this door, for example, he's holding a big chunk of ice, like he's holding his sweetie, and he punches through it, and it doesn't seem that he have no gun in his hand at the time, so it's implied he did this with his fist. He shatters cops that are frozen solid in ice with his backhand. Like, guys, I know ice makes characters less durable because it makes them brittle and stuff, but you gotta remember that ice is still ridiculously hard. For him to be punching through this ice stuff lets you know he can just hit hard. With the weight of his hits to shatter them like this. Hits this guy so hard, it does this and chips a piece of this building. Man, just standard things that super soldiers can do. He should be able to do. He can punch through brick walls. It's confirmed at this point, even without necessarily relying on his gun, like him in his battle suit, he can do this. You can say he's like a hex in a way. He can hurt beings that are strong to him because of the way ice works. The way ice can make people brittle, it can kind of break down their durability without like dishing out blunt power, if that makes sense. Like, the temperature alone can shatter chains. Like, I'm talking about everything touched shatters. Now, if we're talking about his freeze gun and freezing gear, that's what makes him a threat, really. That's why he be knocking out even Batman. For the most part, Batman's armor can't take too much exposure to Freeze's ice for too long. Because even though the suit has thermal insulation, Batman feels the tense cold. He has to wrap this up quickly. Throughout the years, his ice is constantly shown to be strong enough to hold Batman and other Bat family members like Cassandra Cain to where they literally can't move. Little small grenades like this can create this much area of effect, like compared to the size of a building, like you see a couple floors getting messed up by the ice. Like, pretty much can produce as much ice instantaneously. He can just really destroy a whole room, freeze it in ice, the entire hallway sealed with ice, generates this much pillar of ice, like the height of certain smaller buildings. I mean, there's obviously limits to his ice. I mean, he can't just hold Superman with it, but beings that are usually larger than your normal human, like Clayface, he can freeze. You can look at his ice in a way based on how much he can cover with it instantly, like a form of blast power. Like, he's constantly always shooting large blasts or beams in a wide area. Huge beings like Starro freezes a lot of people in the courtroom. When it comes to this ice, he can use it in ways, shape his ice in different forms. Like, not only can he make a giant ice slide to stop himself from falling on a whim, or I'm talking about in the middle of combat when he needs to save himself from falling, he can just make this kind of stuff on a limb. He can also make ice shards that he can blast out sharp style to pierce you like a bullet, kind of. We've seen the blunt force of his ice flipping vehicles, busting through a garage door, metal doors, pillars that toss cars in the air, like it literally launches them. These ice spikes that can just pierce through walls. So in a way, how much ice he can create, since we know he can shape them, we can kind of get an idea of how powerful he is with blunt blast power just from the size of his ice constructs he can make. Well, actually, he can make building-like sized ice constructs and then just drop it on you. So yeah, the amount of ice he can create on the spot definitely has something to do with his blast power, one could say. Because look what it did to all this. Just by dropping a whole bunch of ice on you. So when you see him make building-sized structures like ice castles, this isn't something he would do just with prep time of ice. No, he can kind of produce this kind of energy on the spot. I mean, it's literally confirmed in his lore that he can turn an entire building or city block into an icicle without much effort. Meaning he can make ice the size of buildings. Like I said, he can use this ice in combat. So if he can make structures this big, he can kind of use it in combat bluntly, kind of. So he can level buildings and just freeze in city block, destroying the city block with just ice blast. Ooh, that's cold. It makes sense, his blast being this destructive. It kind of makes sense on how he's able to kind of freeze Firestorm solid for a little bit. And if you know how powerful Firestorm is, this is crazy. We've seen him beam struggle with fireballs before. We've even seen his ice clash with Black Lightning's lightning. He did get pushed back though. But there's nothing wrong with getting blasted by Black Lightning considering Beam struggled with a mind-controlled Superman's heat vision. So there's nothing wrong with Mr. Freeze losing to Black Lightning. Not to mention Black Lightning can blast with energy that encompasses city blocks and stuff, you know. Do we need to get on prep time with Mr. Freeze? He can make stuff that can freeze entire cities. And then if you want to talk about temporary power-ups, it's something I brought up earlier and I said I was going to get back to it. Well, I'm back to it. It was this occasion where he had to trade his soul to get power from this demon and he basically became Iceman. You can argue that he can compete with the top tiers like this and he's like way above the Batman tier at this state. Like we see him like literally taking blasts from Green Lantern tier beings and countering, stated he's not a pitiful creature anymore, implying he's way above what he used to be. A Dark Lord has given him heart's desire, made him blessed with cold itself, shocking Green Lantern tier, beings that can easily destroy planets and suns. Kyle Rayner, other Green Lanterns do this kind of stuff consistently. When it comes to containing supernova explosions, blah, blah, blah. I mean, even Wonder Woman, close to Wonder Woman tier century beings like Donna Troy, he can freeze solid to where she can't move. The being I just showed you contains star explosions and stuff is getting frozen solid by Mr. Freeze. Considering that Green Lanterns usually fly through the cold vacuum of space all the time with no issues, but yet Mr. Freeze is so mighty, his blasts are so cold that Kyle Rayner Green Lantern can feel the effects of something so cold. In a point, there was a temporary moment where he was up there with the powerhouse that you love, like Lantern tiers, like Kyle Rayner and crap. You could say his ice power or the potency of his ice could produce planet shattering or sun freezing type of power based on how powerful Green Lanterns are in crap, and we know how big the sun is compared to Earth. Yeah. And we're not going to talk about Green Lanterns like Kyle Rayner being able to contain explosions that have the destructive energy of entire galaxies more than one. It's because this Imperiex explosion, Imperiex explosion these beings had to contain, like Green Lantern and Mr. Freeze is affecting this guy. You see what I mean? Like, he's freezing beings solid that have struggles breaking out of his ice, that can produce energy that can sustain multiple galaxies destruction, and these beings are having a hard time breaking out of this guy's ice. You see, like, yeah. But DC can't always have him at this power level, so yeah. They usually always get rid of these temporary power-ups and turn him back to the normal Mr. Freeze we're used to, which what makes him like the character we know of, with the freeze gun and stuff. But anyway, not counting this craziness, when we're talking about standard Mr. Freeze, his reflexes have to be decent. Look who he's competing against, Batman. Batman characters usually don't ever just straight up speed blitz him, so his combat can't be slow. Matter of fact, it's even more impressive that he's even able to compete and react to these kind of beings, considering that he himself stated that his suit makes it hard to form a fist, and due to the bulky nature of the suit. He even said the added weight of the suit is a burden. The boots work like anchors. So it lets you know that he's competing against them in a weighed down suit, so he's not slow. We've seen him actually catch battle rings with reflexes, shoot them out of the air. I want you guys to remember that these humans in DC ain't just normal humans. I mean, multiple Bat family members can compete with each other in combat or fighting speed and stuff. Like, Cassandra Cain is a Bat family member. She can literally stare at the bullet and dodge the bullet while they're coming at her. It's stuff like this on why Mr. Freeze competing with these beings shows that he has to be superhuman when it comes to reflexes. These characters are fast. Matter of fact, Batman states himself when it comes to combat speed that he can pluck bullets out of the air. And when you see the fact that other Bat family members have done this, it kind of makes sense with this statement. That's why simply being able to react to Batman without getting blitzed is actually impressive. That's why we see him react to Captain Boomerang's boomerang mid-flight. Or outdrawing a cop like Western style, like shooting the gun faster than the other characters can shoot their gun, like out shooting the cops and, shooting speed. even dodge Bat fam members' batarangs like this close. And then if we're talking about snowy environments, you can say he can move faster depending on if it's cold or snowy environments. I mean, at the end of the day, even if he can't beat you with raw power, who's to say you would still win? Because the way ice works, even if you're really strong, who's to say you're immune to temperature changes? It can kind of change your durability, make your durability weaker, and then you just get brittle and shatter. This is a common thing ice users in forms of fiction do. They freeze a character solid, then shatter them. Mr. Freeze in the New 52 era is one of those characters that you think relies on his gear only, but his muscles are strong enough to break out of handcuffs, so he's probably more than likely superhumanly strong like everybody else in DC. Let's just say he can amplify his punching power by literally putting ice over his fist and punching you with a harder fist. You know, that's why he can bust or punch through iced over walls. You see the hole? This wouldn't be Mr. Freeze video if I didn't go over his weapon he's known for. I mean, he's like a Hexy type character. Ice can kind of be like a Hex, one could say. Comics even break down technical aspects of his blast power and how it works. It causes water in their cells to expand, bursting vessels. Just with a single blast, it can instantly kill humans. Fun fact is that he's able to precisely shoot the ice to where it doesn't freeze the character's whole body. Like he can choose to just freeze their hands if he wishes, and then hit them. There's comics where they straight up give numbers, 2,000 cubic pounds of ice pressure on beings, icy equipment everywhere, even ice grenades to even do this to Batman for a little bit. He made an ice wall this large. You can see it yourself. He can blast with enough ice to where it can collapse a part of a ceiling. He can blast what you would call freezing fog. No wonder Bat family members have such issues with him. You gotta be careful with this guy when it comes to him just literally touching you, like how he did Red Hood's gun here, just by touching him. He can literally touch you with his hands and freeze your head, then crush your head like this, like in a gruesome way. He out here freezing men just by grabbing them, puts his thumb in this woman's eye and freezes all this ice around Nightwing before he can do anything back. See, Mr. Freeze technically might be human, but his physiology is far from what you would call an average human, like because he was altered, obviously. His body is really different. I mean, his skin stores cold, so even they say it shouldn't be possible for him to be alive, but yet he is. So yeah, his body's different. You're probably thinking his suit is armored, that's why he's like this. No, like, yeah, his suit is armored, but I'm talking about his actual body's different than normal people. He's literally immune to conventional stuff. So his body's already different, but if you shoot him point blank with a shotgun, it ain't gonna cut it because he's armored up as well, along with his body being different. So honestly, just like the main continuity Mr. Freeze, the New 52 one and above should be able to blow away buildings too. It shouldn't be that much of a surprise. Obviously, I don't want to say he's indestructible. I mean, Batman has gotten W's on him, so his suit does have limitations, even in the New 52 era, so I do want to make that part clear. But yeah, the blast power he has is kind of crazy when you can completely stalemate the blast of freaking Starfire. She's like a powerhouse tier being in DC. His gun can stalemate her this well. Keep in mind, he's casually beam struggling with a Starfire that's easily able to blow away tanks and stuff. And friendly reminder, Starfire can blast Superman tier beings like Mongol, just letting you know what Mr. Freeze is beam struggling with. I'm just letting you know. Look what our muscles can do against Superman tier beings like Mongol. I'm just saying. This lets you know how potent his ice blasts are. Look how he blasts Starfire out of the sky. You may be impressed so far, but just like a lot of characters in DC, he has incredible reflexes too. You can see his combat speed also in occasions about his combat skill when he's fighting men. I'm not even going to go over the billion combat speed feats that Bat family members do that's superhumanly fast. Even though they don't have no superpowers, Bat family members do superhuman stuff all the time. Mr. Freeze is having to compete with Bat family members consistently, so he can't be outrageously slower than the Bat family members if he's giving them this much issues. You see what I mean? These extremely skilled fighters that you might have noticed that were in the Gotham Knights video games, these beings are really good fighters that, you know, be giving Bat family members issues. These are the beings you see Mr. Freeze react to and stuff. We've even seen him react to gunfire, like classic stuff. He's superhumanly fast for no freaking reason. And you guys probably already know Mr. Freeze is pretty smart. This guy is out here hacking phones of some of the best superheroes, like Batgirl and Black Canary. If you played enough Batman games, you guys already know of preserving or saving Nora type of trope. You know, Freeze is the one that developed this formula to be able to bring their soldiers to life or reanimate them, making frozen folk into his own little personal zombies to fight. Don't you give him resources like Scarecrow's fear gas. He can use this fear gas for his own purposes, like creating an army of mind-controlled super soldiers, aka Talons, them things you saw for Gotham Knights, those beings. He can make a superpowered soldiers, mind-controlled type stuff. He's out here tricking Bat family members so you know he can't be stupid. DC loves giving characters temporary powers. It was during this Darkest Night event where they literally made him into a freeze being where he doesn't need a battle suit. He was just a straight icy being. You gotta love temporary power-ups. He can make his own ice giants, or one could say ice avatars like this, that can fight for him and also help even the odds if he's outnumbered. Blast with ice out of his hands, make ice constructs, blah, blah, blah. make stuff brittle, then shatter them. The classic thing ice characters do. But guys, you know, these kind of power-ups don't last forever. What do you think? What do you think his limits was when he actually got ice powers and can make his own ice avatars and ice golems? He didn't keep this, but do you respect Mr. Freeze in New 52? Yo, these are some hardcore origin stories, Mr. Freeze. He let his mama die because she was kind of suffering and she was such a burden to him. And apparently after an accident, she couldn't really do much for herself. Like, yo, this is Shell. Do me a favor and turn on that notification bell. And thanks for the donations, folks. Respect Mr. Freeze. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.